Davidson is a senior analyst on Ethiopia at the International Crisis Group. He joins us now live from Nairobi. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us on the program. Do you think this conflict is moving towards a full-blown-out civil war, given that Abiy Ahmed is saying that he's going to lead the army on the battlefield, and the U.S. military, for example, has sent in special operations forces to assist the U.S. Embassy in case of a war happening?
This has been a civil war for 1 year now, ever since the military split and elements of it sided with the Tigray regional government. What we have is a spreading civil war, the Tigray forces moving through Amhara region in what increasingly looks like a bid to unseat Abiy Ahmed's government. So this is already an incredibly serious civil war. It does have the potential to get worse and spread further across Ethiopia, though we should note in Ethiopia's largest region, Oromia, there is also considerable unrest. And I think what we're seeing here from the Prime Minister is an attempt to continue this public mobilization in the face of a series of military defeats for the Federal Army and those allied with it, rather than seek some form of negotiations, which I think is really necessary at this point.
Can we witness Addis Ababa fall? And if your answer is yes to that question, how do you think that would happen?
That's certainly a possibility. We have seen these advances by the Tigray forces since July, unless some of their demands are met, which include unhindered aid access to Tigray, the federal government restoring banking, telecommunications, and electricity services to Tigray. They also have a need to reclaim territory that Amhara region took over at the beginning of the war. Unless some of those demands are met, they're likely to push forward if they're capable. So unless these efforts by the Prime Minister, these latest efforts of public mobilization to boost the morale of the federal forces and those allied with it are successful, we are likely to see the Tigray forces and the allied Oromo Liberation Army move towards Addis Ababa.
Right, and we've seen the African Union already try to mediate the situation and hold peace talks there, but clearly hasn't resulted in peace. Ethiopia, as we know, is an essential part of the African Union and, of course, the Horn of Africa region. How does this conflict threaten the stability of the region?
First of all, unless the African Union or any other external mediator is able to get the federal government to shift its position in terms of meeting some of those Tigrayan demands, there will also be a need for a political amnesty in Ethiopia, particularly for jailed Oromo leaders. Unless the external mediators are able to do that, then they're not going to be able to make an impact on the situation. Instead, we are likely to see those forces push forward unless they meet resistance that they haven't so far in the last few months. In terms of the regional impact, well, it's a question of Ethiopia's stability, of course. If we see a further deterioration in Ethiopia, this becomes a nationwide civil war, or we see a breakdown in government authority as the war reaches its final stages, then, of course, that could have seismic impacts on the Horn of Africa in terms of refugee outflows and the further deterioration of the region's most important economy.
That brings me to my next question. The people there are paying the ultimate price of this conflict. Thousands of people have already been displaced from their homes. They don't have access to food, basic necessities, medical assistance. What do international organizations need to do now before it's too late?
There is no real possibility of a sustainable scaling up of the humanitarian operation unless there's some resolution to this conflict and an accompanying political settlement. All of the access problems, all of the terrible relations with the authorities, all of the supply problems, etc., are to do with the conflict and those attendant political problems. So one way or the other, the fighting needs to stop. And the way to stop the fighting the quickest is for the federal government at this stage, because it's in such a apparently disadvantageous military position to make some of those necessary concessions, then we can get a ceasefire in place, some form of negotiations underway, and address these terrible humanitarian problems afflicting people in Tigray, but also elsewhere in Ethiopia. Overall, about 20 million people.
All right. William Davidson, thank you so much for joining us here on the NewsHour. And